Hello, this is Fred at the Gate with today's devotional. You know, as believers, every now and then we have opportunities where we feel like we're having a wilderness experience, where we're striving to be faithful and obedient, but things aren't working out the way we strategically plan. And sometimes we may not be able to even imagine where God is working. I've got some tips for you when you feel like you're walking in the wilderness. Read Numbers, the 14th chapter, the first 9 verses. And what's taking place here is immediately after the spies had come back from checking out the land that God had promised, the 12 spies, 10 gave a bad report, and Joshua and Caleb gave a good report. And so now in the 14th chapter, it picks up, it says, the entire congregation of the Israelites were moaning and complaining against Moses and Aaron, and they're talking about dying yet again. Why we should have died in Egypt, or we're going to die in the wilderness. Why has the Lord brought us out here? And they're complaining. But what you need to understand when you find yourself in the wilderness, you have to be willing to pioneer. You have to be willing to go to places that God is showing you, a new place, places that you've never been. You also have to be willing to persevere. Just as they saw giants in the land, and that spooked some of them, you're going to have obstacles too when you're in the midst of your wilderness experience. But not only are you pioneering, you have to persevere. But then you also have to be mindful that you're going to have to purge. Some of the people that are on the journey with you, they may have served you well. But when they get to the point where they're not being faithful and obedient to what God is leading you to do, at that point you have to part ways. In this, I believe it's around the 4th verse where they says, okay, they complain, they moan and groan, and then they decided to create a Go Back to Egypt committee. You need to be staying as far away from Egypt. When God releases you, he who the Son has set free is free indeed. Don't allow anybody else to allow you to go back to a shackled situation. And then mainly you have to understand that you have protection. You've got God's protection. So even in your wilderness experience, as you're traveling, as you're making your way through, just as Joshua told them, he says, they don't have protection. The Lord is with us. You don't have to fear them. My brothers, my sisters, when you find yourself in the wilderness experience, be willing to continue to pioneer it. Go wherever God is leading you to go. Be willing to persevere, because there may be obstacles, and there are going to be times when you have to purge. Everybody's not going to be able to make the journey with you, but you've got God's protection. And so those are my tips for those of you who are walking in the wilderness.